Um, Babes, it's Tuesday evening. The wine, out. The sun, down. And the delusion, so hot.
I think the delusion is like starting early today because, babes, we are spiraling before the television is even fully powered on.
We really are. Like, we need to talk. We have to clear the air before we even think about setting foot on that farm tonight.
Yeah.
Because this weather, we need the universe to pick a lane. Seriously, is it spring? Is it winter? Babes, we cannot do both.
It is absolute chaos outside.
I walked outside today and the wind, like, physically assaulted me. But the calendar on my phone is aggressively suggesting I should be buying, linen sundresses.
Right, like we're supposed to be in our floral era.
Exactly. Either give us full winter or give us full summer. And honestly, if it's going to be winter, the universe owes us a sugar daddy so we can be snowbirds. I am putting that manifestation out there right now for me, for my bestie sitting right across from me, and for you listening right now in your car or your kitchen. Like, you deserve a winter home in Boca.
Amen to that. It's the seasonal confusion that's it's pushing us right into the emotional arms of reality television, because the delusion of the atmosphere perfectly matches the absolute unmitigated delusion we are about to unpack in tonight's Kiki.
Oh, completely. It's a matching set of chaos.
Yeah, you look out the window, you don't know what season it is. You look at Kim Plath, and, well, you don't know what reality she's inhabiting.
Truly. And a quick note for you guys, because, we are always transparent about our process.
Yeah.
We got our wine earlier today. We were out securing the liquid armor required for tonight's therapy session. And no, we did not run into a drunken Kim Plath stumbling through the wild.
Thank God.
Right. But honestly, at this point, we wouldn't be surprised, given her little, history behind the wheel that the entire fandom is fully aware of.
Yeah.
I basically scanned the parking lot of every liquor store, just waiting for a crossover moment.
The way you genuinely look both ways before crossing the street, not for oncoming traffic, but for Kim's specific make and model of sedan, it's a necessary precaution. I mean, the woman is a menace on the asphalt and a menace on her screens.
She is the literal author of confusion. But before we get dragged into the, dark, heavy energy of the satriarch, let's talk about the absolute light in my life right now.
Oh, yes, please.
Because if you are listening to this spiral on your commute tomorrow morning, I need you to mentally bookmark this for your evening plans. Millionaire spaghetti, we made it tonight, and babes, it was a spiritual awakening.
It was a religious experience in a casserole dish. I mean, I did not fully comprehend the structural integrity of baked pasta until tonight.
It is the richness. It's that hidden layer of cream cheese sitting right beneath the noodles. It's the absolute perfection of the meat sauce, baked until it has that, tiny caramelized crust on the edges of the pan.
The crispy edges are everything.
Right. Why does a baked pasta just hit so completely differently when you are emotionally exhausted by other people's deeply dysfunctional families? It felt like a warm, caloric hug for my soul, which I desperately needed before we sat down to watch this footage.
Because honestly, carbs are the only acceptable armor when dealing with this specific brand of high-control family trauma. Yeah. You need the density of a baked noodle to withstand the psychological warfare we are about to witness. It's just science. You cannot analyze narcissism on an empty stomach.
You really can't. And speaking of needing armor and finding your own joy despite the chaos around you, we need to talk about Moriah. Because, babes, this season, the physical and emotional glow-up is blinding.
Blinding. She looks incredible.
I am so emotionally overwhelmed by how beautiful she looks, how soft she seems. Distance did her so incredibly good.
Well, it's not just a physical glow-up, although let's be clear, the aesthetics are absolutely immaculate right now. But it is a complete, foundational, energetic shift. Yeah. Stepping away from the toxic, swirling vortex of that farm has allowed her to literally and figuratively shed everything that was weighing her down.
Yes. Let's talk about the hair. Her embracing her alopecia, wearing the wigs, finally letting go of that brittle bleach damage, and the incredibly harsh, dark makeup she used to use as a shield.
It was such a defense mechanism.
Totally. And her outfits are so cute now, so deeply entrenched in her soft girl era. She just radiates this freed energy. And it got me thinking, because, my brain immediately goes to the psychological root of things. Does distance from family actually fix things?
Oh, wow.
Because honestly, between you and me and you listening at home, Do we think if we moved away, we would like our mothers more?
Oh, we are diving right into the deep end of the trauma pool immediately.
Okay.
Analytically speaking, distance doesn't magically fix the root of a complicated mother-daughter dynamic. It doesn't rewrite history.
Right.
What distance does is give you the luxury of a buffer zone. It turns a daily, unexploded landmine in your living room into a scheduled Zoom call that you have the power to hang up on.
Wow.
Yes, it doesn't heal the initial wound, but it absolutely stops the mother from poking that wound with a stick every single day. For Moriah, escaping Kim's immediate suffocating radius meant she could finally hear the sound of her own thoughts. She could find out who she actually is without Kim whispering in her ear telling her who she's supposed to be.
That makes me so emotional. Because you listening right now, you probably have complicated family stuff. We all do. You love them. But sometimes the sheer proximity is what suffocates the life out of you.
Exactly.
Finding your soft girl era, finding your internal peace, sometimes requires you to pack up your Honda Civic and drive until you literally cannot see the farmhouse in your rearview mirror anymore. Moriah is the walking, breathing embodiment of the concept that space equals safety.
Yeah, and imagine the night before your wedding. It should be face masks, champagne, laughing with your bridesmaids. Instead, you're crying yourself to sleep because your own mother is actively sabotaging your peace. Tonight, we're jumping right into the latest developments on this farm to answer a core question. Does physical distance from a toxic family actually heal trauma? Or does it just pause it until you are forced back into the room with them?
Oof, that is heavy.
That is the thesis of our chat tonight, because here is the fascinating, horrifying dichotomy of this family's current reality. While distance worked absolute miracles for Moriah and allowed her to find this incredible feminine softness, proximity is causing a full-blown Category 5 crisis for the rest of the family.
It is disaster.
Bringing everyone back to the farm, or even just back into the same zip code, is exactly what Kim wanted, and it is spectacularly, violently backfiring. So grab your glasses, top them off, settle in. Let's talk about the absolute masterpiece of a confrontation that kicked off our viewing tonight.
My heart was physically pounding against my ribs, just watching the tires of Lydia's car crunch on the gravel. Watching Lydia pull up to that house felt like watching a ruthless corporate auditor walk into a deeply corrupt boardroom.
Literally.
She wasn't a sweet, obedient daughter returning home. She was an executive arriving to serve subpoenas.
The prodigal daughter returns, but she isn't looking for a fatted calf or forgiveness. She is looking for blood. Lydia, our absolute baddie of the season, has returned to the farm to confront the family. She calls a literal, formal house meeting.
I was screaming at my television. The emotional maturity radiating off this young woman. She walks in, fresh off the agonizing trauma of her own wedding, a day that should have been purely joyful, and she has finally found her voice.
It's amazing to see.
The old Lydia would have retreated to her literal prayer closet. The new baddie Lydia pulls out a chair at the head of the table. She's setting concrete boundaries. She sits them down, looks them dead in the eye, and says, we're going to talk about the things that happened around the wedding. There were assumptions, it did damage. And she didn't just casually, politely bring it up. She forced them to acknowledge that the night before her wedding was the hardest night of her entire life.
Which is objectively horrifying. Let's really sit with that. Your mother, the person who is supposed to be the architect of your comfort, is the architect of your deepest misery on the eve of your marriage. And let's analytically break down the absolute absurdity of the specific drama Lydia called out.
Oh my God, yes.
The wedding colors. The great hunter green versus blue suit saga of our time.
I cannot handle this part. I literally cannot. So Kim, acting as the grand, shadowy manipulator of this family, was running around whispering to anyone who would listen that Lydia desperately wanted hunter green for her wedding colors because an ex-boyfriend had once bought her a green dress.
It's just so sick.
Right. Kim is insinuating that her daughter is still obsessed with this ex, still holding on to romantic feelings, and that Zac, her now husband, supposedly forced her to change the entire color palette to blue because he's this controlling, jealous, insecure monster.
Which is Kim's absolute classic playbook. Like, let's talk about the psychology of the author of confusion. A narcissist will take a tiny microscopic kernel of reality, in this case, the existence of a green dress, and spin it into a massive, suffocating web of deceit.
Just to create chaos.
To destabilize the environment. to make Zac look like an abusive, controlling partner, and to make Lydia look like an unstable, pining victim. And instead of doing what any normal, functional parent would do, which is just asking her daughter, hey, honey, why the color change? She gossips to Ethan and Micah.
The boys.
She triangulates. She uses the brothers as weapons against the sister.
But the real reason they changed the color, the actual factual reason, babes. Zac's reasoning for blue. I cheered at my television so loud I scared my dog.
Let the record show his exact quote, because my booty pops in a blue suit.
Yes, icon, legend behavior. Zac looked at the camera and said, no, it has to be blue because I have a blue suit that I wore to another wedding, and I really pop in that blue suit.
I love it.
I am violently, fiercely protecting Zac for the rest of my natural life. That is the exact kind of man you marry. A man who knows his angles, knows his seasonal color palette, and knows his booty pops in a specific shade of navy.
It is the most innocent, hilariously vain, completely harmless reason in the entire world. And Kim weaponized it. She took a man's innocent desire to look good in tailored menswear and turned it into a narrative of coercive control. But notice Kim's physical behavior at the table during this confrontation.
He's infuriating.
As Lydia is exposing the lie, Kim is sitting there, absolutely, entirely mute. She is giving us weak, first-season, Real Housewife energy. You know exactly the type.
Oh, 100%?
The ones who talk a big game all season, get completely obliterated by the veteran cast members at the reunion table, stare blankly into the middle distance, and refuse to engage because they know they are caught. That is Kim.
It makes my blood boil. She sits there like a silent, cowardly mouse while her daughter bears her absolute soul. She offers no comfort, no explanation, no apology. But then we cut to Kim in the confessional.
Oh, exactly. Where she suddenly, miraculously finds her voice. She's so incredibly tough when she's safely tucked behind a green screen, talking to a producer who is legally obligated not to yell at her.
Right.
She sits there in her little confessional chair and delivers this entirely delusional, reality-bending statement. Quote, I just repeated what I heard. I didn't feel the need to talk to Lydia to find out if it really went the way it did because I had somebody there that told me.
How? I'm asking you, as a human being, how does a mother justify that logic? You hear a rumor that your future son-in-law is controlling your daughter's wedding colors, and your maternal instinct isn't to protect your daughter.
It makes no analytical sense.
It isn't to pick up the phone and say, Lydia, are you safe? Are you okay with this? No. Your instinct is to go gossip with your sons in the driveway. How is Kim demanding grace in this supposed new chapter of hers when she hasn't apologized for a single thing?
She hasn't.
She hasn't apologized for traumatizing her kids. She hasn't apologized for her highly publicized DUI. She just sits there projecting her own toxicity onto everyone else.
Because, analytically speaking, Kim is entirely incapable of accountability. Accountability requires empathy. It requires the ability to decenter yourself and feel the pain you've caused another person. Kim only has an ego. She operates solely on self-preservation. But we cannot just drag Kim tonight. We have to talk about the accomplices in the room. The enablers. Enter Micah.
Oh, dusty, brainless, flaxen-haired Micah.
He is sitting at that dining room table, playing the clueless surfer bro card so heavily, he literally scrunches up his face and says, wait, what's going on? Oh, the wedding colors?
Give me a break.
Sir, you know exactly what is going on. You are the primary recipient of the gossip. You are the one Kim was whispering to.
He plays this clueless card so well, but it's a documented manipulation tactic, weaponized incompetence applied to family therapy. And then he has the absolute unmitigated audacity to look across the table at Lydia and Zac, the victims of this smear campaign, and say, well, I feel like you two weren't the best communicators. I wanted to pick up my hot dish of millionaire spaghetti and throw it directly through the screen of my television.
It was infuriating. It is classic victim blaming. You wouldn't have been gossiped about if you had just over-explained yourselves to us. But thank whatever higher power is watching over this family for Amber. Amber is the unsung lethal hero of this season, popping in from the sidelines with these absolute sniper shots.
I love her so much.
She looked right at Micah and delivered the single best quote of the entire evening.
It was poetry. She looked him dead in the eye and said, kind of ironic, Micah is the one saying we need to communicate better when he is somewhere down in Florida and none of us ever hear from him.
A literal sniper from the side. Amber cuts through the patriarchal older brother nonsense so cleanly. Micah runs away to Florida, physically avoids all family conflict, entirely ignores his own trauma, and then parachutes in for a house meeting to lecture the sister who actually stayed and dealt with the mess. It's the highest form of gaslighting.
It really is. The boys' club of this family, Micah and Ethan, they just endlessly cover for each other and cover for Kim. They protect the matriarchy because it allows them to avoid looking at their own flaws. But speaking of the men, I need to push back on you a little bit here because we have to talk about Papa Plath. Barry. Where are we landing on Barry right now?
It's deeply conflicting, isn't it? Historically, analytically, Barry has enabled so much of Kim's damage. He was the silent partner in the traumatization of these children. But in this specific era, in this specific scene, Barry is getting a mildly positive pass from me. He sat there and let Lydia cook.
Wait, I can't give Barry a pass just yet. Isn't his silence at that table just a different flavor of the exact same cowardice he showed when Kim was fully in charge? He's nodding along with Lydia now, sure, but where's this energy 10 years ago?
I hear you, and your anger is completely justified. But let's look at the baseline of behavior we were dealing with. When Kim left, she entirely abandoned the rigid, fundamentalist family structure she spent decades building. Barry was left holding the bag. And I think he looked at Lydia, who essentially had to step up and play sister mom to the younger kids while Kim was out finding herself on a houseboat, and realized, oh, my daughter is the only functional, reliable adult in my life. So yes, his silence in the past was cowardice, but his silence at this specific table was validation. When Lydia was laying down the law, Barry was nodding. He didn't try to shut her down to protect the matriarch's feelings, which is what the old Barry would have done. He is doing the bare minimum, but in this family, the bare minimum looks like a Nobel Peace Prize.
Okay, I see your point.
Yeah.
The bar is literally in hell, but Barry is at least stepping over it instead of digging underneath it. And Lydia absolutely cooked them all. She ended that meeting with a non-negotiable ultimatum. She said, gossip is one of those toxic things in this world. If I find out that's still going on, there will be consequences. I have literal chills. I love her so much. But you know what? Lydia found her power by setting a firm verbal boundary. Moriah, on the other hand, found hers through a physical transformation. Let's talk about the visual whiplash of this episode. We go from the dark, tense, suffocating energy of that dining room table directly to the bright, fluorescent, healing lights of a beauty supply store in Tallahassee.
The visual juxtaposition is wild. It's like stepping out of a gothic horror novel and into a coming-of-age movie. Moriah, Amber, and inexplicably, Ethan.
Let's focus on Moriah first because I was so genuinely emotional watching this scene. Moriah talking openly about her alopecia. When she was sitting in the chair and the editors showed the flashback, babes, I had hot tears welling up in my eyes.
It was so raw.
She was talking about how her hair just started falling out in massive chunks around the time of Lydia's wedding. Her body was physically reacting to the extreme autoimmune condition triggered by the suffocating stress of her parents' divorce and the family imploding. The body keeps the score, and Moriah's body was screaming for help.
Think about the deep psychological toll of that. Here is a young woman whose entire identity, her entire rebellion against her fundamentalist upbringing, has been wrapped up in this specific bleach blonde, heavy makeup aesthetic for years. Her hair was her armor.
Absolutely.
And to have your own body betray you, to strip you of your armor while your family structure is collapsing around you, it's devastating. It's a complete loss of control.
And the incredible vulnerability she showed in this scene. To walk into a retail store, in public, with cameras rolling, and take her wig off for the first time. Can we just pause and acknowledge that she has the most beautifully shaped head? She looked absolutely stunning without the wig.
She really did.
And her dimples. When the incredible ladies working in the store were hyping her up, telling her she was beautiful, and you could just see her start to glow from the inside out, that is the exact healing energy we love to see. Community healing instead of family tearing you down. But we have to talk about the dark, dusty storm cloud hovering awkwardly in the wig aisle.
Oh, let's absolutely roast him, Ethan.
Dusty, depressed Ethan. I cannot. I literally cannot. Why on God's green earth was he there?
Analytically speaking, production clearly forced him into the passenger seat of that car because he has absolutely no other storyline right now besides looking sad on dirt roads.
Exactly.
But aesthetically speaking, he looked like a hostage in a ransom video. Can we please discuss the deeply disturbing fact that this man is wearing the exact same outfit he wears in every single scene of every single season?
The dusty, faded, ill-fitting blue jeans and the faded, vaguely distressed black t-shirt. Does he own a second garment? Does he know how to operate a washing machine?
I don't think he does.
He is standing in a brightly lit beauty supply store, surrounded by absolute glamour, wigs, lip gloss, and feminine energy, and he looks like he just crawled out from underneath a 1998 Honda Civic that hasn't run in a decade. He brings the energy of a Victorian ghost, haunting a modern Sephora.
It's the psychological refusal to evolve, manifested entirely in his wardrobe. He is frozen in time. He stood there, completely stone-faced, arms rigidly crossed over his chest, offering absolutely nothing of value to the conversation.
Nothing.
Moriah is having this deeply vulnerable, triumphant, life-altering moment, asking him which wig he likes, and he just grunts, I don't know, too soon to tell. He brings the energetic equivalent of a wet mop to every single room he enters.
It is so painful to watch. He just sucks the joy right out of the oxygen. But, and it genuinely pains me to say this because I am ruthlessly committed to shading Ethan tonight for his overall behavior, there was one microscopic silver lining in his presence.
I know exactly the moment you're going to bring up, and I will concede the point.
The flashback to Ethan shaving Moriah's head. When she was at her absolute lowest, when she realized the patches were too severe and she had to just shave the remaining hair off, she asked Ethan to do it. The way she was sitting in that chair, bawling her eyes out, mourning the loss of her identity. And he was just so gentle.
Yeah, that was surprising.
He carefully shaved it. He looked her in the eyes, told her she was still beautiful, and he kissed her on the top of her bare head.
It was a rare, genuinely sweet, brotherly moment. It proved that underneath the dense, impenetrable layers of suppressed trauma, emotional stuntedness, and dusty denim, there is a protective older brother who actually loves his sister. It was a beautiful display of unconditional love right at the exact moment she felt the most fundamentally unlovable.
It really was. It was profoundly healing for her to experience that from a man in her family. And you can see how that specific moment of acceptance propelled her to where she is now, glowing in that store. She realized her self-worth doesn't come from her hair or her makeup or her rebellion.
No, it doesn't.
She looked at the camera and said, "It comes from your heart feeling loved and accepted." And seeing her try on those new wigs, babes, the black wig with the baby hairs.
Immaculate. The baby hairs were laid with the precision of an architect. It looked so natural, so soft. And the fact that she was getting genuine advice and hype from the black women working at the beauty supply store was everything. I loved it so much.
They were fixing her up, styling the edges, telling her she looked gorgeous. Moriah has finally found her weirdness again, but it's not a defensive weirdness anymore. It's a confident, grounded weirdness.
Yes. The soft girl era is officially realized, and we're here for it. But you know what happens when one woman in this family finds genuine self-worth? The matriarch has to immediately manufacture some fake self-worth to compete.
Oh, without fail.
While Moriah is ascending into her highest, most healed self, her mother is plummeting into the absolute depths of delusion. Snark Squad, brace yourselves. Let's unpack Kim's delusional new chapter party.
This specific segment of the chat tonight was a masterclass in manufactured reality television and unchecked narcissistic behavior. Let's set the physical scene. Kim decides she needs to throw a lavish party at Giorgio's restaurant to formally celebrate her next chapter.
I screamed at my television so loud my neighbor probably thought I was being actively attacked in my living room. Babes, listen to me. Lydia works at Giorgio's.
Literally an employee.
Why, on God's green earth, is Kim forcing her own daughter to serve her appetizers at a party celebrating her midlife crisis divorce?
It's a calculated power play. It is Kim deeply needing to be the center of attention in an environment where her daughter is literally professionally subservient to her as an employee. It's a humiliation ritual masquerading as a celebration.
It's so messed up.
Lydia literally said to the camera, "I wanted to be her server because I wanted to show my mom that I'm here." Lydia is desperately extending the olive blunt while carrying a tray of bruschetta. It is psychologically sick.
It is deeply fundamentally sick. And Kim sits there in her sparkly top, acting like she's so worried about the dynamic being awkward because Lydia sided with Barry in the divorce. No, Kim, it's awkward because you're parading your new boyfriend around your daughter's place of employment while throwing a vanity party for yourself for absolutely no discernible reason. What exactly is this new chapter?
Exactly. Let's analyze the premise of the party. The divorce has been dragging on for years at this point. She's been living on a boat, then living on a farm, getting DUIs out in the wild. She's already living with Ken. There is no actual new milestone happening here.
None.
This new chapter felt entirely manufactured by a TLC production because Kim has absolutely no actual organic friends left who are willing to film with her. So she invites these random people, Aaron, Taylor, and Lenny.
And they decide, of all things, to do a roast of Kim.
Let me analytically tear this specific concept apart. Because as a connoisseur of shade, as someone who appreciates the sharp wit required to execute a proper read, what happened in that restaurant was deeply offensive to the historic art form of a roast.
It wasn't a roast.
They do not understand the definition of the word. It
Yeah.
was a compliment circle. It was an echo chamber of sycophants.
It was secondhand embarrassment to the highest degree. They stood up with their little index cards and said things like, "You're an amazing human being. You're an amazing mother. You're so brave in this new chapter of finding yourself." I was standing in my living room, yelling at the screen, "Roast her. Tell her she's a menace to society. Mention the sedan."
The only person who brought even a microscopic ounce of shade was the friend who brought the full bottle of wine as a gift. And even that wasn't a read on Kim. It was just a petty, displaced dig at Barry. Because apparently, Barry was dry and didn't buy Kim a full bottle of wine when they met up at a restaurant a few months ago to discuss finalizing the paperwork. So her friend hands her the bottle and smugly says, "Now your cup overflows."
Oh, her cup overflows, all right into the driver's seat of her vehicle. The absolute unmitigated irony of making a joke about Kim needing a full bottle of wine when her literal mugshot is burned into the retinas of the entire fandom. It was tasteless.
Absolutely tone deaf.
It lacked all self-awareness. And then, just when you think that cringe has peaked, Ethan stands up to roast his mother.
Ethan, wearing the exact same blue jeans and black t-shirt from the Wig store, mind you.
Of course. God forbid he puts on a blazer for Giorgio's. And his attempt at roasting his mother was a tragic window into his psyche. He gets up there, shifting his weight awkwardly, and says, "You're probably the only woman in the state of Georgia that has more ATVs than children, and you have 10 children.
A terrible joke.
And then he attempts a punchline. "You have more brain power than all of us put together to come up with ideas, but you never follow through with anything."
Which is actually accidentally the most truthful thing spoken all night. She is an idea machine who abandons every single project and every single child the second it gets too difficult or requires actual emotional labor.
Oh, true.
But framing it as you have the most brain power is just Ethan desperately, pathetically seeking the maternal approval he has never once received from her. He gassed her up under the guise of a joke. He validated her massive ego.
And Kim just ate it up with a spoon. She sat there looking so incredibly smug, laughing at her own brilliance. Contrast that smug, performative, awkward behavior with Lydia. Lydia comes out from the bustling kitchen in her literal work uniform, holding a glass, and delivers the most incredibly mature, graceful, poised toast of the entire evening. She takes the absolute high road.
She raised her glass and said she was ready to start fresh, ready to move forward, and wished her mother the best. You demonstrated more emotional regulation, class, and grace in that 30-second toast than Kim has demonstrated in 50 full years of life on this earth. The consensus online across every platform was unanimous. Lydia is an angelic human being, proving to be as beautiful on the inside as she is on the outside.
She really is. She is the light. But while Kim is popping bottles and pretending her manufactured new chapter is perfect, her sons are literally wandering through dark corn mazes of their own deep depression. Snark Squad, we have to talk about the sad boys, Ethan and Isaac.
Let's start with Ethan's entirely fake, deeply performative music career.
Oh my God, the cringe. The physical, full-body cringe I experienced watching this footage. We see Ethan hanging out with his buddy Austin, who he apparently just met or reconnected with, we don't really know, sitting by some random dirt road in the middle of nowhere.
Classic Ethan habitat.
And Ethan is strumming a guitar, playing this sad, twangy, painfully generic country song he allegedly wrote.
He claims, with a straight face, that he wrote it from a place of deep pain about Olivia leaving him. Quote, "A guy finds out you can't just run from your problems," which is hilarious considering running from his problems is his only known cardio. And then he casually, seamlessly mentions to Austin that he's currently writing a brand new song about his most recent ex-girlfriend, Teegan.
Okay, I am pushing back on this entire narrative. I am throwing the flag on the play. Is Ethan actually genuinely heartbroken about Teegan, or is this just a completely manufactured storyline because he vehemently refuses to go to actual licensed therapy?
You are absolutely correct. It is 100% manufactured. Ethan does not possess the emotional vocabulary required to process a complex breakup through songwriting.
He really doesn't.
The observation from the fandom here is crucial to understanding his psychology. Ethan is showing vastly more performative emotion on camera over Teegan, a girl he dated for 5 minutes and whom the audience barely knows, than he ever showed over Olivia, his actual wife of several years.
Yes, exactly. With Olivia, his emotional register was just cold, simmering anger, resentment, and blame. He looked at her like she was an annoyance. With Teegan, he's putting on this whole sad boy, broken heart routine. She was my best friend. I miss her so much. Let me strum a D chord about it.
It's an act.
It feels so incredibly disingenuous to feel like production sat him down and said, Ethan, we cannot just film you sweeping concrete and looking at old cars for another season. You need a storyline. Go sit in a ditch and act sad about a girl.
He literally says to the camera, I have a lot on my heart and mind, but I can't express it. We know, Ethan. We are fully aware. We have watched you actively not express a single complex thought for 8 consecutive seasons. Plucking a guitar string in a drainage ditch does not equal emotional growth. It is avoidant attachment masquerading as artistic melancholy.
And the sad boy energy doesn't stop with Ethan. It is a highly contagious virus in this family, and it has fully infected Isaac. Babes, let's talk about the corn maze breakup.
This might go down in history as one of the most sociopathic, cold-blooded reality TV breakups I have ever witnessed.
I am furiously, violently protective of Kaylynn.
Okay, let me set the scene for you listening at home because you need the full picture of this absolute mess. It is a Halloween group date. They are at a dark, spooky corn maze. Some of the siblings go out, and Kaylynn is there looking beautiful, sweet, and completely naive.
So naive.
She literally says in a confessional that she has never seen a single red flag from Isaac. Oh, honey, sweet, innocent Kaylynn. The red flags are giant, they're waving in the wind, and they are made entirely of peanut shells. Isaac shows up to this fun, lighthearted group date looking utterly miserable. He proceeds to loudly, repeatedly complain to everyone in earshot that he just worked 14 grueling hours farming peanuts. He tells the camera, point blank, that he'd rather not be there. He brings the entire energetic vibe of the group down into the literal dirt before they even buy their tickets.
And then they enter the actual corn maze. It's dark, it's scary, people are jumping out at them. And what does Isaac do? Does he hold his girlfriend's hand? Does he walk in front of her to protect her? No.
Of course not.
He puts Kaylynn in the very back of the line. Yeah. She is literally saying to the camera, I'm the girl and I get put in the very back. I know something is up. He abandons her to the cornstalk actors.
Yeah.
He leaves her to get jump scared alone.
It is classical textbook physical distancing before emotional distancing. When a man of his emotional immaturity knows he is about to end a relationship, his body literally rejects proximity to the partner. It's the flight response in action. He couldn't even stand shoulder to shoulder with her in a dark field. But then, the absolute, unmitigated gall of what happens next. The sheer audacity. They finally escape the maze. Isaac turns to her and says, Kaylynn, can we talk in my truck for a minute?
And then he tells her to turn off her mic.
I was screaming at my television screen. You cannot be a cast member on a reality television show and turn off your microphone to dump someone.
Give us the mess. Give us the dialogue. We suffered through your endless 14 hours of peanut farming complaints. We suffered through the shaky night vision, dark corn maze footage, and you are going to deny us the actual breakup conversation.
It's pure cowardice. He takes her to the dark, soundproof cab of his pickup truck, entirely blindsides her, and then all we get is a sterile confessional of him shrugging and saying, there's no easy way to say it, but I broke up with her. It was moving too fast.
Unbelievable.
You don't instruct your girlfriend to unclip her microphone unless you know deep down in your soul that you are about to look like a complete and total villain.
Exactly. He pulled a classic textbook Plath family move. Avoid all accountability, suppress the negative emotions until you are ready to burst, and then run away into the dark where no one can hear you. I am so unbelievably mad for her. Kaylynn, if you are out there listening to this chat right now, you are free.
You are liberated.
You are liberated. Go find a man who doesn't constantly smell like roasted peanuts, who actually wants to walk next to you in a corn maze, and who has the emotional capacity to have a difficult conversation on the record.
She didn't just dodge a bullet, she dodged a massive flaxen-haired missile.
Okay, we need to take a collective deep breath, take a massive sip of wine, and look at the big picture of this family right now. Because the stark contrasts in how these people are operating are jarring. If we zoom out and look at the family dynamics, who is actually evolving and who is completely stuck in the mud?
If we look at the raw data points of this episode, the evolution is entirely, exclusively concentrated in the women who have intentionally separated themselves from kin's immediate radius of control. Lydia is evolving at light speed.
Truly. By setting those firm, non-negotiable boundaries, by actually giving the matriarch a direct ultimatum, she is refusing to let the family sweep their collective trauma under the rug anymore. The old Lydia would have cried softly and internalized the pain. The new baddie Lydia called a literal board meeting, issued clear demands, and outlined consequences. That is the very definition of evolution.
And Moriah. Her evolution is incredibly visceral. It's literal and figurative. Shedding the damaged hair, shedding the toxic aesthetic expectations she placed on herself, finding the courage to take her wig off in a brightly lit public space.
Yeah.
But more importantly than the hair, she is actively leaning into the internal work. She openly acknowledged her own toxic tendency to beat herself up and is actively trying to rewrite her internal monologue. She is finding her quirky, weird, beautiful self again, specifically because she isn't terrified of Kim's judgment hovering over her shoulder.
It's so beautiful to witness that kind of growth in real time. But on the flip side, who is stuck? Because the list of stagnant energy is incredibly long, babes.
The list is spearheaded by the author of confusion herself. Kim is stuck in a permanent, unbreakable loop of deflection. She is still gossiping like a high schooler, still aggressively playing the victim in situations she caused, still relying on an echo chamber of sycophantic friends at Giorgio's to validate her existence.
It's sad.
Instead of doing the agonizing, necessary hard work of apologizing to her children, she throws a party for herself. She hasn't moved a single emotional inch since season 1.
And the boys are right there in the mud with her. Micah and Ethan are the founding members of the Avoid Accountability at All Costs Boys Club. Micah physically runs to Florida. Ethan runs to Minnesota or the nearest dirt road with his guitar.
Yep, always running.
They just suppress their emotions until they burst, and then they aggressively blame everyone else, usually the women in their lives like Olivia or Kaylynn, for the explosion.
They are profoundly emotionally stunted. That scene of Ethan telling Micah he needs to grow up, and Micah nodding and agreeing they need to communicate better, it's just empty syllables. There is no action behind the vocabulary. They are reciting lines they've heard on TikTok therapy videos without understanding the actual homework required.
Which perfectly brings us to the question of who is actually driving the narrative this season? Who has the main character energy? Who is the actual star of the show right now?
I think we are entirely, undeniably aligned on this conclusion. It is 100%, without a shadow of a doubt, Lydia Plath.
It is Lydia's world, and we are just paying rent to live in it. She is driving every single meaningful plot line. She initiated the house meeting. She confronted the matriarch to her face. She worked her full, exhausting shift at the restaurant while her mom threw a messy, delusional vanity party, and still managed to deliver the most mature, eloquent speech of the entire night.
She is the heavy anchor holding this chaotic, sinking ship together. Without Lydia forcing these deeply uncomfortable conversations, the entire family would just be silently staring at each other in different states, occasionally playing sad country songs in ditches. She is the solitary catalyst for every single moment of actual, grounded reality on this reality show.
Main character, icon, legend. We bow down to baddie Lydia. Now, before we wrap up, we have to talk about the moments that made absolutely no sense tonight. The moments that had me looking around my empty living room, staring at my wall, begging the universe for answers. I'll start.
Lay it on me.
Ken talking about his big retirement plans at the Giorgio's roast. Babes, listen to me. His grand, sweeping plan for the rest of his natural life consists entirely of building dirt trails in the woods for Kim. That's it.
It's so weird.
He literally stood up and said, I was worried I'd be bored in retirement, but Kim has me building trails. What are we doing here? Are you a retired grown man, or are you a literal beaver?
It is deeply absurd. He has completely, utterly subjugated his entire identity and free time to Kim's bizarre, fleeting whims. He went from a fully formed adult to Kim's personal landscaper. But speaking of bizarre whims, my what are we doing here moment is the entire fundamental concept of Kim's new chapter party.
Yes. Unpack the delusion.
What specific chapter are we celebrating? The divorce has been legally and emotionally dragging on for years. She's already been living with Ken. There is no new milestone being crossed.
Nothing new at all.
It felt entirely transparently manufactured by production to force a physical confrontation between Kim and Lydia in a public space. It was just an excuse for Kim to wear a sparkly sequin top and force absolute strangers to read nice index cards about her while eating free appetizers. It was pure, unadulterated delusion.
Some more delusion. And my final one, Ethan and Micah, sitting at that outdoor table, looking at each other with their blank, empty blue eyes, telling each other they need to grow up and communicate.
It is the literal, visual definition of the blind leading the blind. Two men who cannot accurately name a single complex emotion other than hungry or angry, trying to give each other deep life coaching. It's comedy gold, but it's also deeply, profoundly tragic to watch two adults fail so spectacularly at basic human connection.
Okay, babes. It is time for my absolute favorite part of our spiral. The Plath dinner party. You know the drill.
Yeah.
Here is the hypothetical prompt. If every single Plath family member came over to our house right now, tonight, for a dinner party, who do we genuinely vibe with? What are we talking about? And what specific dish are they bringing to the table we need to get detailed and chaotic?
Oh, I was born ready for this.
Let's start with the undisputed guest of honor, Baddie Lydia.
We absolutely vibe. Instant, lifelong besties. If Lydia comes over, we are immediately pouring her a giant heavy pour of wine, which she probably won't drink, but we will aggressively offer it. And we are spending the entire evening talking about setting boundaries, embracing soft girl aesthetics, and comparing notes on how to assert dominance over toxic mothers. And what is she bringing? She brings a perfectly baked, completely wholesome, from scratch, homemade fruit pie. The lattice work on the crust is mathematically flawless. It's warm, it's comforting, it's sweet, and it's exactly the energy she brings to the room.
Perfect. Next up, Moriah.
Total undeniable vibes. We are immediately clearing the living room floor. We are doing a full, chaotic wig try-on haul. We are swapping makeup tips. And we are going deep. We are talking about inner healing, breaking generational curses, and learning to genuinely love ourselves when our parents fail us.
Yes, and she brings something slightly chaotic, but really fun, like a massive tray of neon-colored sugary cocktails that she found a viral recipe for on TikTok. They might taste a little too sweet, they might give us a headache tomorrow, but they look amazing in Instagram photos, and we love her for it.
Exactly. Okay, what about Zac?
Oh, we vibe. Big time. We're immediately pulling out a velvet dining room chair for him at the head of the table, and we're spending at least 20 uninterrupted minutes talking exclusively about how good his booty looks in a blue suit.
Right,
We're fully validating his fashion choices.
We are hyping him up like he's going down a runway. And he brings the millionaire spaghetti because he understands deep comfort, he understands sustenance, and he knows how to consistently feed a crowd without complaining about it.
He is a true provider. Okay, now the energy severely shifts. The doorbell rings. Kim knocks on the door.
We do not vibe. The music instantly stops. The temperature in the room drops 10 degrees. The dogs start growling.
She brings store-bought drama.
Yep.
She brings a cheap bottle of wine that she absolutely refuses to share with anyone else. She just clutches it to her chest the entire night, and we talk about absolutely nothing with her.
Because we put her in the corner, we literally give her a foldable TV tray, place it in the darkest corner of the living room, facing the blank wall, and we tell her, "Congratulations, Kim, this is your new chapter." She is in a timeout until she learns how to articulate a genuine apology to her children.
Enjoy your new chapter staring at the drywall, Kim? I love it.
Okay.
Okay, finally, Micah and Ethan arrive.
They are absolutely not allowed inside the physical house.
No. Sent immediately to the backyard through the side gate.
Ethan brings a stiff, bristled broom so he can aggressively sweep our concrete patio. That is his designated, supervised activity for the evening, sweeping, looking sad, and humming country songs to himself.
And Micah just brings a thick stack of his own glossy 8x10 modeling headshots. He hands them out to us through the sliding glass door, winks, and then goes back to doing push-ups and flexing his abs in the moonlight. We don't feed them, we don't engage with them, we just let them exist in their own dusty, avoidant bubble outside.
It is the only scientifically proven way to maintain the peace of the dinner party. You cannot mix that radioactive level of emotional suppression with a delicate dish like millionaire spaghetti. It will curdle the cream cheese sauce.
It truly, genuinely will. Babes, what a night, what a spiral. Let's wrap up this therapy session. From the absolute delusion of this spring-winter weather we are suffering through, to the absolute necessity of wine therapy, to Moriah's incredible internal and external glow-ups, and our deep, dark, sprawling thoughts on toxic family dynamics, we have covered a massive amount of ground tonight.
We unpacked the heavy baggage, and there was a staggering amount of it. The Plaths never failed to deliver a graduate-level masterclass in dysfunction and avoidance.
They really don't. So, Snark Squad, you listening right now, we are turning the conversation over to you. We need you to get in the comments, get in our DMs. We want to know, what are your specific thoughts on Moriah's glow-up? Are you as violently obsessed with the styling of those baby hairs as we are?
And we want your deepest analytical takes on the core thesis of the night. Does physical distance actually fix complex family dynamics? Or does it just hit pause on the trauma until the next mandatory holiday gathering?
And most importantly, babes, seriously, I need you to look outside your window and tell me, is it spring or winter where you are right now? Help us settle this universal debate.
Before you spiral into your own weather-induced delusions, remember to rate the recording, leave a review, subscribe so you never miss a chat.
5 stars only, babes. If you leave anything less than 5 stars, we will automatically assume you are Kim Plath operating on a burner account from a Giorgio's booth. Send in your messy DM submissions for our next Kiki. And please, hit share and send this chat to your most reflective bestie who desperately needs a boundary check in their own life right now. Baddie Lydia is the absolute blueprint for taking your power back.
Thank you, Snark Squad, for pouring a glass, spiraling out of control, and resecting the absolute delusion with us tonight.
Stay shady.
Stay iconic.
And we'll see you next time on the Snark side. But wait, before we go, just picture it. Close your eyes. Kim, sitting alone in the dark corner of our dining room, staring blankly at the wall, gripping her own bottle of wine, desperately trying to figure out how to somehow blame Zac for the pattern on our wallpaper.
The author of confusion, finally beautifully silenced. Good night, babes.